Right now, somewhere in the world, a human is sitting in traffic, tapping the brakes, muttering under their breath. And right now, somewhere else, a colony of ants is moving thousands of workers down a trail barely 3 ants wide. No traffic lights, no lanes, no rules written down anywhere. And they're not stuck. They're almost never stuck. So what do they know that we don't? Here's the strange thing about human traffic. It doesn't take an accident to cause a jam. Just one driver tapping the brakes at the right density can set off a wave of congestion that ripples backward for miles. A phantom traffic jam. Researchers describe this as a kind of phase transition, the same kind of shift that turns water into ice. Add just a few more cars per mile, and free-flowing traffic can suddenly freeze solid. Ants face the exact same math problem. Hundreds of individuals moving in a shared space, trying not to collide. But they don't freeze. In 2019, a team of physicists and biologists ran ants across a narrow bridge in the lab, cranking up the number of ants entering the trail to see exactly when, or if, they would jam. In human traffic, once you pass a critical density, flow collapses. More cars in, less movement out. Ants broke that pattern entirely. Up to a point, more ants meant more traffic, just like a highway. But past that point, something different happened. The flow didn't collapse. It just leveled off. No pileup, no gridlock. The trail simply kept moving at a constant rate, no matter how many more ants joined. The researchers called it a two-phase flow. So how do they do it? When the researchers tracked individual ants, the answer wasn't a traffic light or a leader ant directing things. It was restraint. As the trail got more crowded, ants simply slowed down and avoided time-consuming interactions. They stopped trying to overtake, stopped forcing their way through, and let the group speed set the pace. Compare that to human drivers. The instinct is to weave, to overtake, to squeeze into a gap half a car length too small. Every one of those moves is a tiny risk that can cascade into a full stop for everyone behind you. Ants don't have that instinct. No ant is trying to arrive 4 minutes earlier than the ant next to it. Ants also cheat a little, in ways evolution built right in. Their trails naturally flow in both directions at once, coordinated purely through scent, something almost no other traffic system on Earth manages, our own road networks included. If a trail gets too crowded, ants aren't locked to one lane. They can widen the trail, or in tight tunnels, climb the walls and even walk on the ceiling to keep moving. And critically, ants don't crash. Bump into another ant, and worst case, you climb over them and keep going. None of that is really traffic management. It's just what happens when nobody's ego is involved in getting somewhere first. Now, here's where it gets more interesting, because ants aren't perfect traffic engineers either. A 2024 study looked at a completely different situation. Not foraging, but colony relocation, where ants use tandem running, one ant physically guiding another to a new nest. Funnel that through a narrow bottleneck, and jams do form. Real ones. But even then, the colony had a fix. Ants caught in the jam would collectively shift direction. Researchers called it mass orientation, turning a tangled two-way pileup into a single, unified flow until the bottleneck cleared. In other words, when ants do jam, they don't stay jammed. They renegotiate, as a group, almost instantly. Traffic engineers aren't studying ants for fun. Self-driving cars, in theory, could behave a lot more like ants than human drivers do. No ego, no impatience, able to communicate directly with every nearby vehicle the way ants communicate through scent. If autonomous vehicles adjusted speed cooperatively instead of reacting individually, Some researchers believe we could see roads that behave less like our highways and more like an ant trail at rush hour, busy, dense, and somehow still moving. We're not there yet, but the blueprint has existed for 100 million years, and it's been sitting under our feet the whole time. Next episode, what happens if termites, not humans, design our skyscrapers? Subscribe to BioCity, because it turns out the best engineers on Earth never went to engineering school.